Random Eggs Productions and the Credible Nerds present The Fourth Taviran, a Wheel of Time podcast.
The wheel of time turns, and ages come and pass, leaving memories that become legend. Legend fades to myth, and even myth is long forgotten when the age that gave it birth comes again. Let the dragon ride again on the winds of time.
Hey everyone, welcome to The Fourth Taviran, a Wheel of Time podcast. I'm your host, Justin, and as always, I have my fellow Taviran with me, Mark.
Hey guys, how's it going?
And for this episode, we want to talk about a recent question that we asked Billy Zane at FanX, Salt Lake Comic Convention, on September 5th, 6th, and 7th. Billy Zane had a panel there, and he spent a lot of time talking about his movie career, and he talked about Titanic and Phantom and, those movies. And at the end, they opened it up for a couple questions, and I was able to ask a question about his role as Ishamael. Is that Ishamael or Ishmael?
I say Ishamael, but I'm notorious for saying names wrong. So I'm sure it's like Ishmael, Samuel, Fred. I mean, who knows, right? I think there's like
Moradin.
Yeah, more. Third. Oh, I got a nerd question for you at the end. Now that just reminded me of a nerd question.
So anyway, no, what's his name in the prologue?
That was my nerd question.
Oh, okay.
Do you have nerd cred? This is the nerd cred question of the day.
Yeah.
What is his name?
Oh, I don't know it offhand, but I would recognize it. Totally recognize it.
In the was it the prequel? I don't know. In the prologue.
In the prologue of Eye of the World. Yeah. I know it, but I just can't remember it. No.
It's Ellen.
Yeah.
Ellen Morin Tedroni.
Okay. Yeah, that's what it is.
So he's a three name. So it's kind of hard for most people of us to understand if you're not into the books. But three names from the Age of Legends meant something. You didn't earn a third name, like a middle name or something, unless you were super awesome. So for him to be Ellen Morin Tedroni was amazing because not all the Forsaken had three names.
Yeah, and there was Luz Theron Telamon. He had three names.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that's when it happened, right? It happened during this prologue part, right before the breaking.
Yeah, or during, I guess. I mean, depends when you decide when the breaking started. But yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Breaking's happening, but right after they've sealed the Dark One, and so it's right there. So he's still known as Ellen, or what do they call him? The Betrayer of Hope.
Yeah, yeah. So in that short film, it's called Winter Dragon, and so we asked him a question about that, and asked him if he, what his experience was. And here, we'll play it for you real quick so you can listen to it, and then we'll talk about it. So I want to ask a question. A couple of years ago, you starred in a production called Winter Dragon, based on the prologue for the Wheel of Time.
That's right.
And I'm just wondering what your experience was with that, and how you ended up involved in that project.
This is a series of books. They compare to kind of a Game of Thrones-like experience, fantasy, with an avid following readership. My friend was one of the producers, and they needed a placeholder to actually air some content to put it on air in this amount of time to go through the legal processes they did in order to now they're actually in production finally. I came on as we had to basically film this 25-minute teaser to the piece quite rapidly. I'm involved in the production I have an option to play the character or not. I think he turns up in the second season. We'll see how the first season goes. And they're finally making it, which is great, because it's a really interesting piece of material.
So you have an option in this new production to play the character, Ishamael?
I'm sorry?
To play the character.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
That was actually my exact same question.
Well, interestingly, when I go back, I'm just about to kind of, do a bit more of a deep dive in the exploratory. It just started. That process has just begun. So I'm not as deeply hands-on to it. So I'm looking forward to getting an update. To be honest, I don't really much to report. But it's been, it's been in kind of more in the legal department for the last couple of years, and now finally, literally before I came here, like, all right, we're moving. It's like, good, it's going. I look forward to an update.
Well, I'd love to see you reprise the role.
Thanks. Thanks.
Yeah, so that's the question that I asked him, and then there was a guy behind me who had a similar question, and so the second part of that audio is him kind of asking the same question and Billy Zane responding. But one of the most interesting things in this question that we asked him is he says that he was involved in the production. A friend of his was involved, and the friend asked a favor of him to be able to play this part. So he called it a placeholder. It's basically, most of us know the story by now, that the production company had to produce something within a certain amount of time, and time was running out, and so they basically did this Winter Dragon short film in a couple of days, if that, and so they could somehow retain the rights. And so that's how he got involved. But then that whole thing with the production company, they ended up selling it, or something happened, and Amazon Studios now ended up with it. And he is saying that he is still involved in the production with Amazon Studios, and that he's going to reprise his role in this Wheel of Time show, and that his character shows up in the second season. And he says, I think he makes the comment, we'll see how the first season goes. But that's a pretty big statement, because that's not public knowledge. And part of me, I was really surprised to hear that when he said that, because as far as we know, his first appearance has always been in the first book. If you listen to our previous chapter reviews of The Eye of the World, Ishamael is always making an appearance, like in the dreams of the boys. When they have their dreams, Rand and Matt Perrin, he's always there, and he's got those eyes of fire, and he's, tempting them to join him. And that's all in within the first couple of chapters that starts happening. So him to say that he will appear in the second season means one of two things in my mind. He doesn't know what he's talking about, or the writing doesn't involve Baalzamon or Ishamael, because they're the same person, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you heard that, Mark, what do you think? Because that's what comes to your mind when he's saying that.
So I kind of have to go back to what he was saying about the legal stuff. So it was my understanding, and obviously I don't know, I haven't done a lot of research, but from what I remember Harriet talking about it, because she came to the final signing, right? When Brandon Sanderson did the final signing for the last book,
right?
Provo, and she was there, and someone had kind of asked her, what's with the show? And she said, we're going to court for it, right? Like, we got to figure this out. They haven't really produced anything, yada, yada. We're going to court. And then from what I understand is that they won, and they gave it to somebody else. She was able to retain the rights back to the movie, and then the show, and give it to somebody else to produce. So how he would stay stuck, how he stayed with it, I don't really know. I mean, maybe that was some type of weird underwriting thing part of it. And it could be. I have a hard time when he says, I'll be in the second season, because like we all know, right? He's in the first season. He's in the prologue, and he's in the first season. So unless they cut out the prologue and some of these weird dreams, he's going to be in it. And and Ishamael is a big part of helping shape the storyline of Rand and Matt and Perrin and kind of what drives them to go where they're going.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of tough. The only thing I can come up with is one of a couple possibilities. One, that he'll come back as Moradin and he'll play Moradin after Baalzamon is killed. So someone else will play Baalzamon, right? Because Baalzamon is like where he's like, I don't know, he's kind of half crazy anyway. And he's got, the fire eyes and the, fire mouth and stuff,
Yeah.
And then he's killed, reborn as Moradin. And so he'll play Moradin as opposed to Baalzamon.
Okay.
The second thing is maybe that they talk about it like they kind of talk about Arthur Hawkwing at some point, and they do a flashback of Jalwyn Morad. Do you remember him at all? He's the counselor, starts counseling Arthur Hawkwing, and then that's when Arthur Hawkwing kind of turned against the White Tower, and there's that big standoff on war and everything like that.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And because it came out later that Jalwyn Morad, I'm not saying it, no, if I'm saying the name right, it's Moerad, however you say that, Morad. It came out later that was Ishamael, and he was able to escape for a certain amount of time, and he came out, and then he got sucked back in. So it might be some type of flashback where you see him play Ishamael for a moment, and he's not really main character Ishamael.
Yeah.
Yep. Or 3, like you said, he just doesn't know what he's talking about. So, those are what I see for the 3 options. And I tend to lean more towards the second one, they'll reprise him in a role and he'll come back and we'll see him, kind of as a flashback.
Yeah. Okay. If he did play Moradin doesn't come in till later, right? Till mid-series?
Isn't it book 3?
Is it?
Right? Because doesn't he kill him? Like they have that big fight in the sky when he claims whatchamacallit, the sword? Kalandor?
Kalandor? Well, I know they fight in the sky in book 1.
And he just hurts him. He doesn't kill him.
And then in book 2, they fight over Falm, in the sky over Falm. And that's when they draw the picture and everybody sees a copy of that picture. And that's when he defeats him. But I'm not sure when Moradin comes. I always thought it was later. Or maybe that's...
In the Great Hunt, it appears that he kills him.
Right.
So that's right. He does kill him. And then he's brought back as Moradin.
Yeah.
So that's pretty right. Great Hunt's second book.
Yeah.
When I'm actually looking this up because I can't remember. There's so much in this, guys. I wish I could remember everything, and you would think I would remember when Moradin came in, but I don't remember.
Do you think maybe they could do a flashback of all the Chosen back in pre-breaking of the world, and maybe he's playing the character from that time, and we actually see Lews Therin and all those guys interacting? I don't know. That seems, that's good stuff to know, but I think that's just a side story that would confuse first-time watchers. So I don't think they'll do that, actually.
So I am right. Ishamael was killed by Rand al'Thor in the Stone of Tyr shortly after the latter gained possession of Kalandor.
Okay.
And they had like a sword fight, and Ishamael was stabbed through the heart by Rand. So that did happen in the 3rd book. So depending on where they do the seasons, right? Because I heard that they're going through book 2 for season 1, right?
Yeah, that's the rumor.
So if they go through book 2, you got to assume they're probably going through book 4 in season 2.
Right.
Maybe a couple books every season, and then like somewhere around book 7, they'll have like 5 books in one season. But yeah, so if that's true, then yeah, books 3 and 4 would be season 2, and we would see Moradin introduced then. So that would make sense for him to be in season 2 to play Moradin.
So when does Moradin first make an appearance?
Let's see. So he's killed in book 3. Let's see. As the Dark One's most powerful, the Dark One immediately captured Ishamael's soul and placed him in a new body. So it says immediately, but I don't see where he comes, because book 4 is right. Book 4 is when they go to the Shido Ale, right?
Yeah.
And that's when he starts, like, they start kind of having their side meetings, and he starts saying that he's nameless.
Okay.
So, right there. So that's, so book 4, I mean, he's around. I don't think he doesn't really do anything big until the big fight at, with, when he cleanses Sidene. Yeah. You don't really see too much of him until he, the big fight to cleanse Sidene. So,
that's book 7 or no 8.
Yeah.
7 or 8.
Like that. But I mean, he does make appearances. I mean, he is around. He's just not as around as he was before. It's kind of like gone from like, it's almost like he's accepted, like, okay, I can't kill these guys and capture these guys easy peasy, so I'm going to play the long game.
Yeah.
And condense power and things like that.
Yeah. And they could take things out of order and show a backstory like they did in Lord of the Rings, where they had the whole Saruman storyline, where in the books it was totally off screen, but in the movie it's, Gandalf goes to meet him and he gets captured, and we see Saruman create the army, the orc army. So they could do something like that, where they show this backstory or this side story that's not really represented in the books, but ends up playing a key part in the TV story.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, a lot of speculation. We don't really know other than what Billy Zane has said. And I think when they came to their legal agreements and figured everything out, I wouldn't doubt that him and his friend who was involved in the production, that there was some, like you said, underwriting where they're like, okay, we'll sell the rights to you, no problem, but we want this. Billy Zane says, I want to be in the show in some capacity, something like that. Because we get that all the time in Hollywood, right? Like I read somewhere, probably Wikipedia, on Superman, where this one guy 10, 15 years ago, he wrote a script and they bought it. And part of the deal was that he would get paid for all future Superman movies. So he's not even like involved in production of Superman movies, but he's still getting paid a lot of money because of this deal that he made over 10 years ago. So stuff like that goes on in Hollywood all the time, where someone will write a script and then they bring someone in to rewrite it, but yet the original author is still credited and gets paid a little bit. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if in some capacity they're still going to be involved because of that.
Yeah, that's a good point. And that if that's the case, so if he is involved on a more permanent level, like say he's Moradin, what do you think about that? I mean, I don't know quite what I think about that. I can't even put my thumb on what I should expect from characters anymore, but I'm not sure I expected a Billy Zane.
Right.
I expected somebody, just not a Billy Zane. And I didn't expect Billy Zane just because of the original show he did. One, because it was really terrible. And two, it's almost seemed like the joke of the series, right? Like, of all the books and everything, that's the one thing, the sore thumb. No one wants to remember that. And so I kind of have a hard time picturing him as actually playing Ishamael Moradin now. But, I mean, I could get used to it. I don't quite know if he's young enough to play a Moradin, because Moradin's younger, but, I mean, they can CGI it, I guess.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind him playing a part. Like you said, I don't know if Moradin's the right part or Ishamael. But I think he's a good actor. He's got some cred, and he's been in some good movies over the years, and he knows what he's doing. So I think as an actor, So I wouldn't mind it. Like you said, it would maybe, there's different ways they could bring him in. And he could be, like you said, a flashback, or he could be reprise his role as Morden or something else. So we'll have to see. But he's saying, he also said in that audio clip that he's recently been in contact with people and is involved in the production, and he's just going to get started. He's just going to get going with this Wheel of Time series. So why would he make that up?
Yeah.
I mean, he could easily just have said no comment, or yeah, that didn't work out, or something to just blow me off when I asked him the question. But he went into a couple minutes of detail, what's going on, and he claims he's going to be in it in the second season. I mean, that's big.
Well, yeah, and like you said, I mean, unless he's lying through his teeth, I mean, word of this is going to get out, right? I mean, we've posted on Twitter, we've posted on Facebook. People are seeing it. There's been a lot of talk about it. Other podcasts have picked this up and used it, the audio. I mean, it's getting around. So somebody that's actually involved in something is going to get back to it. I mean, it was at FanX, so it's not only us talking about it.
Yeah.
And so somebody's going to hear it, and it's almost like you can't lie. They can just easily come out and be like, no, this person is cast as Ishamael or whatever. Or maybe on next Wednesday or whenever they announce cast, we'll see Billy Zane as Ishamael, and we'll all be blown away that we knew first. I mean, I don't know, but it seems like it would be too easy to be proven wrong. So why would he lie about it? So it must be a true on some level.
Yeah, somewhere. Yeah. And there was, when I posted it on Twitter, there's some people who referenced a tweet from Rafe Judkins back in, I think it was December last year, late last year, when he did a Q&A, and someone asked him, is Billy Zane going to reprise his role? And he said no. There was, it wasn't no because of this. It was just no. That was the answer, right? But that was December. That was last year. This is 9 months later. If he said he's just getting done talking with people about moving forward with the production, sounds like things have changed. There's new developments. So maybe back in December, he wasn't going to be involved, or they didn't know what role or what part he was going to play in the production. So they just said, no, he's not going to be involved. But, 9 months later, things can change. And there hasn't been, they did tag Rafe Judkins in recent tweets. This last weekend, they asked him, is this true? Billy Zane said this. Is this true, Rafe Judkins? He hasn't responded. There's been nothing. So,
which would seem like, if it wasn't, he would just come out right away and be like, oh, no, no, this isn't. I mean, I get he's a busy guy and he doesn't have a time to look at every time he gets tagged, but somebody has to look at it. Someone around him would look at that. He's got an assistant or the assistant's assistant or something. But you know what I mean? And it's going to go up the line saying like, hey, someone has a recording of Billy Zane saying he's going to be a part of season 2. Is that true? Because like you said, we've literally got the actor himself stating, yes, it's true. So, either Rafe needs to come out and say something like, no, that's not true, period, and the, rumors, or put out some coy thing saying, we'll see, ...
Yeah. Yeah. So interesting stuff. It's, if you're not following us on Twitter, you can follow us on The Credible Nerds or at The Fourth Taviran. So you can find the conversation there. A lot of people responded to the initial posts. First, I posted the statement, and then I followed it up with actual link to the audio. So you can find it there on Twitter, or you can go to our Fourth Taviran podcast and find it there too. And I guess you just posted it on Facebook recently, Mark?
Yep, I just posted on a Facebook group, the Wheel of Time Facebook group called Screw You All. I love Wheel of Time. So I posted on there to kind of get people's feedback, what they thought there, and see, because I think there's going to be a lot of feelings about this. A lot of people like Zane, a lot of people, Billy Zane, a lot of people are I mean, everyone has opinions, right? It's Wheel of Time. I mean, think about what happened when we announced the actors that are going to play. Everyone's like, for or against. People are sitting down with chips, listening to the conversation. I mean, there's a lot of talk. So this can generate. I like to see what people think, and I can't wait to hear what actually is.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was like that on Twitter this last week. I mean, some people were like, "Yes, I totally see that," or other people like, "No, that's stupid." We don't want him in Wheel of Time. So it's like you said, everyone has an opinion, and it's fun to interact and just read it, see what's going on. So anyway, that's our update on the Wheel of Time regarding Billy Zane and him reprising his role as Ishamael or some other part, Morden. So we'll see. And maybe Rafe will come out this week and say, no, that's a bunch of crap. Or at some point in the future, he'll confirm it. So we'll see. But so yeah, we want to thank you guys for joining us here on this short episode of the Fourth Tavir and a Wheel of Time podcast. Look for our other podcasts where we do chapter reviews in the books. We're currently doing chapter reviews on Book One, The Eye of the World. And then we also have episodes where we cover certain topics like the Aes Sedai, or the Breaking of the World, or Angreal, Terangreal, and Sangreal. So just different topics of different subjects on the Wheel of Time universe. So join us on the 4th of Aaron, and we're also on YouTube. We've been posting our episodes, the audio on YouTube. So if you're a YouTuber, you can definitely find us there and listen to the episodes that way as well. So thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.
See you guys.